What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Nicotina Show. We are live here on, what is it, Tuesday? No, Monday. Tuesday night. I can see your dog. He's ready to rock. I think you're muted.
Oh, is that better? Okay.
That's better. There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah. We're still on Tuesday for another 13 minutes.
For 13 more minutes. So with that 13 minutes, let's talk about what took place in the previous episode of X-Men 97, episode 8. Now, this was a pretty cool episode. I actually really enjoyed it. We got to see Wolverine in full action taking on the hybrid Sentinels. And we also got to see that Bastion essentially created a gene that would be passed through different generations of human beings, and then he can activate them whenever they wanted to, or whenever he wanted to, which I think that is such a comic thing to do, like this mass, attack of all these Sentinels and all these people just being taken over and essentially being killed. But I loved it. I thought it was so awesome that they took those risks for this show.
Yeah, it wasn't just your average Joe neighborhood. It was his home neighborhood. It was where he grew up, and if you may recall, he even turned his mom into a human Sentinel, which not surprised considering he's the main villain, but it kind of was a surprise when they were there kind of researching, going through his room as a child, trying to understand what was going on. Then all of a sudden, the mom turns into one. They try to escape, and then the whole neighborhood is essentially turning into these human Sentinels and then attacking them. Then we saw a team up, right? We saw the team up of Cyclops and Jean and Cable trying to escape and battling them together, which was a nice little tidbit to see them working together. We hadn't seen up to this point because Cable had just returned. But yeah, I think that was one of the better parts of the episode was the human Sentinel army. We didn't. I don't think anyone really expected to see that, which was pretty good. So it'll be interesting to see how they build on this and how the human Sentinels army will play into this next episode and into the part 3.
But that's the thing is that we saw that what's her name, the government official, she let Magneto loose because she said she realized what Bastion was doing in Sinister, it was really wrong. And so because of that, what did Magneto do? He went to, I think it was like the South Pole or North Pole, and he essentially created an EMP that knocked out all electronics. Everything. And not only that, but like it took down all the hybrid Sentinels as well.
It did, but again, the problem is now he's taking out not just them, but everything. So now he's impacting the X-Men, who are now going to have to battle the Bastion and what I think some people are referring to as kind of like his little secret society, which were all those cameos that we saw. So spoilers if you didn't watch the last episode. So like Doctor Doom was there on one of the screens, which I don't know if you caught it, but like he wasn't too thrilled with what Bastion had done with the attack on Genosha. So I'm wondering if we're going to see an internal conflict there amongst these villains potentially. Maybe not this season, but maybe in season 2.
Oh, okay. So this is my prediction for tonight's episode.
Okay.
Now, Bo DeMaio, who is the creator, the writer, and the executive producer of the show, he tweeted out an image of Fatal Attractions, the cover of one of the Fatal Attraction issues, and says, "Time to do your homework." Right.
Okay.
Now I made it short over the over the weekend for everyone to watch. But if you don't know about Fatal Attractions, the key thing of Fatal Attraction is that in that series, Magneto rips the adamantium out of Wolverine. Yep. Okay, and that was a very pivotal moment in comic book history. I remember as a kid, I remember when that issue came out. And I used to have all the Fatal Attraction issues, and then they burned up in a fire. So it's a horrible story. But I remember it was just very shocking to see, our favorite character, Wolverine, just get completely fucked over by Magneto. Now here's the thing. He said, do your homework, and it had an image of Fatal Attractions, right? So when you read Fatal Attractions, there's a lot of similarities in terms of where the story is right now in X-Men 97 and where the story was at with Fatal Attractions. Now, we know that Xavier just came back
Yep.
from being with the Shi'ar Empire in Fatal Attractions. Xavier dons the Shi'ar Empire suit, which allows him to walk, and we know that he has that same suit in X-Men 97, which allows him to walk. So I'm pretty sure that is going to be, he's going to be using that in the episode coming up. On top of that, in Fatal Attractions, Magneto. So the UN used the satellite system to create a shield around the planet Earth in order to stop him from using his abilities. But he launched an EMP, which took out all the satellites and all the electronics. So again, similarities. He did the EMP at the end of the last episode. He did the EMP in Fatal Attractions. Now, there is some big differences, but another similarity is that in Fatal Attractions, it is believed that Magneto is dead. They find out later on that he is still alive, and that's when they unleash the Magneto protocol to turn on all those satellites, and then he does the EMP to knock them all out. Now, the difference too is that the X-Men go to take him on, and they go to Avalon, which is essentially the same ship. It has a weird name that Cable uses, but they stole that and kind of retrofitted it and called it Avalon. So they go to Avalon to take on Magneto. Now, I don't think Avalon is going to exist in this show, but already everyone believes that Magneto is dead. Now you're going to find out Magneto is not dead. And so I think that you're going to have a part of this episode where the X-Men are going to have to go take on Magneto, who's going to be donning the helmet once more, because he's going to go back to his old ways, especially now that Charles Xavier is back. I think that Magneto will see that Xavier is back and sort of tell him, like, I'm sorry, Charles, I cannot do this any longer. You know what I mean? I need to go back to who I am. And he'll don the red helmet, and then they'll have to go and face him. And I think that this season is going to end with Wolverine leaving the X-Men like he does in the comics, because he's not the same Wolverine that he used to be after he got his adamantium ripped out of him.
Well, so a couple things. So Valerie Cooper was the one. I think that was the name you were trying to think of.
Yeah.
As far as what's up, Ruthie? As far as who let Magneto go. So that's who that was. Now, as far as Charles goes, I don't know if he's gonna be in that like suit that helps him walk, whether for very long or maybe at all, because since the last episode we've seen, I think, 2 more teaser trailers drop. There was one that was I think dropped yesterday or the day before. It's like a minute that showed obviously parts of these next 2 episodes, and he's actually sitting in it, like in his old like yellow covered chair.
I mean, maybe he goes back to that.
So I'm wondering if something happens where, if Magneto does something to him or something where he has to utilize that, but then also the X-Men seem to kind of go back to their like old school looking suits as well. Like Wolverine, for example, is wearing like the dark brown and orange suit, not the yellow and blue.
Yeah, I saw that. So they're going to go back to their classic suits, which it makes me wonder why they're going back to their classic suits when they already have the new suits. But either way, it's going to be badass. Like I'm more than happy to see them do that.
Yeah. So, and as far and the other thing, I think I'm hoping we see a little bit more of. Again, we saw a lot of cameos last time. We felt, or at least I felt, that they might have just been cameos to represent the fact that, hey, like spoiler, Spider-Man, there was that brief, probably 2 or 3 second cameo when the EMP hit.
Yeah,
all the lights were going out, and he, obviously probably his spidey sense was like, what's going on? Now that could have just been a callback, a nod to Spider-Man, that's pretty much saying, hey, Spider-Man exists in this exact same world that the X-Men exist. Or there's, the rumor mill starts, churning when these things happen. Was that a potential for 2 things? One, Spider-Man somehow teams up with them in one of these last 2 episodes, or both. Or 2, is this a potential nod to say, hey, we're going to bring back the Spider-Man animated series once we wrap up this, this X-Men thing after 2 seasons, right? So again, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but obviously, as as anything else, when these cameos show up, the rumor mill starts going. But we also saw Omega Red. We saw Silver Samurai. So those were nice characters again, they were just cameos, but it was still pretty cool to see. And it always makes you wonder, will they pop up before the season ends?
but I think also too. I mean, we also saw Doctor Doom. We saw Baron Zemo.
William
and I think that
Stryker briefly
William Stryker
on the TV. Yeah.
And to me, like, obviously we can speculate that these characters might come back, but I feel like these were just cameos to show that this world they live in is a vast, deep, rich Marvel universe that they're living in. And I think that's all I was meant to establish. Will we see Spider-Man again? Possibly. I just don't know where he would fit into the storylines. But for Bo DeMaio to put that out there saying, to say your homework assignment and show Fatal Attractions, I really do believe that this is going to end with Wolverine getting the adamantium ripped out of him, because it's never been done in either animation or live action. And so I think he's going to do it. And I hope he does, because it's such a badass, it's such an iconic story. And this,
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised though.
Well,
I mean, we've seen so many surprises thus far that they haven't been afraid to take risks. So I would not be surprised if they took that risk and say, "Hey, we're just going to do it." So.
Well, yeah, because I mean, this is essentially a separate universe altogether. Just not connected to anything. Yeah. And so, I think what he's going to do is, I think, and this is just speculation, but I think that he's going to rip out his adamantium. I think that they're gonna save Wolverine. He'll lose his adamantium, and then, like in the comics, he will leave the X-Men and go on his own. And I think that will be the storyline at the beginning of season 2. Is, one of them will be Wolverine on his own with his bone claws, and then what ends up happening to Wolverine is the Apocalypse is the one that shows up and offers to. He can put that adamantium back in his body, because he has the ability to manipulate and control molecules and cells. And so that is the storyline that's in the comics. And I think that, essentially, if you go that route, then you're introducing Apocalypse as the main villain in season 2, which I really, really hope they do, because I fucking love Apocalypse. He's one of the biggest badasses that has ever existed. And I think it would be awesome to see it. I would love to see Apocalypse as the main villain in season 2.
Well, I would enjoy seeing that, but I would want them to wrap up somehow, whether it's before this season ends or somehow in the beginning of season 2. The villains we have right now, like Bastion, Sinister, unless they're going to somehow carry over and be, a core to season 2. If Apocalypse shows up as the main villain, I wouldn't want them to put all this work in to give us these stories with these villains that we're finally seeing. And then
it's up.
Is it up? Okay.
It's up. Tolerance is Extinction Part 2 is ready to go. We're going to watch the episode right now. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you jump over to watch us on X or on Twitch, because we're going to watch X-Men Episode 9, Tolerance is Extinction Part 2. And real quick, I'm going to throw this out there, and I could be dead wrong, but I think the way that these guys are going to, the way that the X-Men and Magneto are going to meet up again is when they meet up to try and take down Bastion. And to be honest, I think that Magneto is going to whoop his ass. And then also, too, you got to remember this, is that in Fatal Attractions, Magneto, he fucked up Cable in that series as well, because Cable has metal in his body, because he has a lot of cybernetics, and so he fully fucked him up. And then Cable used his teleportation to technology to teleport out of Avalon, because he got all fucked up. And so we may even get that as well. But let's check out episode 9. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream on YouTube and continue on X and on Twitch. So if you're watching on YouTube, join us over on X or Twitch, and we'll see you after the show for an episode wrap up. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you